Russia is ready for a nuclear war. This is what the Russian President Vladimir Putin has declared. Listen to this before I tell you more.
Why do we need to use weapons of mass destruction? There has never been such a need.
То есть такая мысль вам в голову не приходила?
What for? Well, weapons exist to be used. We have our own principles. What do they mean? That we are ready to use weapons, including any weapons, including those you mentioned. If we are talking about the existence of the Russian state, about damaging our sovereignty and independence.
You heard that. If the existence of the Russian state is threatened, Putin will not shy away from using a nuclear weapon. The thing is, this is very much in line with Russia's security doctrine. And this is also Putin's warning to the West. He is basically saying, if you escalate things, I will press the nuclear button. Putin was speaking to the Russian state television. And through this, Putin was basically sending out a message to the NATO that Russia is prepared for the worst. It is prepared for a nuclear war. And just how serious is Vladimir Putin about pressing the nuclear button? Consider this. This is the second time in less than 2 weeks that the Russian leader is talking of a possible nuclear escalation. During his State of the Nation address in February, Putin said that Western countries will risk a nuclear war if they decide to send troops into Ukraine, adding that the West is forgetting that Russia has weapons that can hit them. Not just that, Putin also told the world that the West is creating the situation for a nuclear conflict, for the quote-unquote destruction of civilization. And less than 2 weeks on, Putin is back. He is once again talking of a possible nuclear war. He is telling the West that even if they send troops into Ukraine, it would not really change the situation on the ground. It's a downright insult, or muscle flexing, if you may. And Putin, by the way, is topping that with a declaration of Russia's nuclear war readiness.
If we are talking about official military contingents of foreign states in Ukraine, I am sure that this will not change the situation on the battlefield. This is the most important thing. Just as the supply of weapons does not change anything. From a military technical point of view, we are prepared, of course. The troops are constantly in a state of combat readiness. This is first. Second, this is also a generally accepted thing. Our nuclear triad is more modern than any other triad, and only we and the Americans have such a triad. We have made much more progress here. Ours is more modern, with all the nuclear components.
Nuclear triad here refers to the ability to launch nuclear weapons from land, sea and air. And Russia, let me remind you, has the world's largest stockpile of nuclear weapons. In fact, it possesses around 5,800 nuclear warheads. It has a range of nuclear weapon delivery systems, from cruise missiles and ballistic missiles to torpedoes, air-dropped bombs, anti-aircraft missiles, anti-ballistic missiles. The question is, how does the West stack up? As per the international campaign to abolish nuclear weapons, the United States has around 5,200 nuclear warheads. 5 nations are hosting a chunk of these weapons, by the way. Italy, Turkey, Belgium, Germany, and the Netherlands. And then you have the United Kingdom with 225 nuclear warheads and France with 290 warheads. Is there a real risk that the West and Russia may end up firing a nuclear weapon at each other? The thing is, Putin has made his take on this question very clear. For him, the nuclear weapons are not merely ornamental. Weapons exist in order to use them. You heard Putin say that himself. It will be interesting to keep an eye out for how the West reacts to this interview. And just note the timing itself. It comes a day after America released a report highlighting how Washington is threatened by Russia's growing nuclear arsenal. We told you all about it on the show last night. Putin's explosive interview also comes in the days leading up to the presidential election that's scheduled for the 15th to 17th of March. Putin is guaranteed to win a fifth term and remain in office for another 6 years at least. In fact, we already have visuals coming in from Russia-controlled Mariupol. You can see the people voting in the Russian presidential election. Remember, less than 2 years ago, Mariupol was a Ukrainian territory. And on the ground in Ukraine, the war continues to kill. At least 3 people lost their lives in Sumy in eastern Ukraine after an apartment complex was hit by a Russian drone. Some 430 kilometers away in Marnorad, 2 people were killed in a bomb blast.
Why are they doing it to us? Curse them. My building got damaged. Why are they doing it to us?
Now, let me just remind you here that the war in Ukraine is 2 years old now. Is this a situation waiting to escalate is the question. Will it really take a nuclear turn? And what happens when someone presses the nuclear button? Perhaps stalemate no longer defines this war. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the updates on the move.